Thank you for tuning in to Love in Your Hands with Cynthia Clark, the podcast about how to live life with love. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to go to find long-lasting love using the most innovative and accurate algorithm based in scientific palmistry. Tired of superficial connections? Start your free soulmate connection membership today at loveinyourhands.com. Now here's your host, Cynthia Clark, palm reading consultant and compatibility expert. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Cynthia Clark, and I am always excited to talk about love and how to bring more love into our lives. And especially today, we're going to be talking about animals, which of course we love our little fur babies. I happen to have a little border collie, and she is like my baby because I don't have any kids. So she is absolutely my little baby.
She is your baby.
Yeah. I love her to death. And she's 12, and she's the most adorable thing ever. So I want to start out with a little palm reading because, of course, that is my specialty. And although our animals do not show up in our hands specifically, we can see how we receive love in our hands. And if you take a look at your lower section of your hand, it's called Luna. This is actually opposite your thumb. Okay, so if you try to reach over there, your thumb cannot reach over to this far section of your palm, and it's the lowest part of your hand. So it is underneath the little finger, but at the very base of the hand. This section is called Luna. This represents your area of receiving. So to receive love, you can see the quality of how well you can actually receive. If this particular part of your hand is big and puffy, that shows that you're very good at receiving love. If this section happens to be either droopy or deflated, it's almost like a balloon that's been popped, that can show stress, and it can show that you're actually not very good at receiving. Or you could be stressed out. It could show up as blotchy red. That's actually not uncommon to see, or just, general droopiness in that area. So that is your Luna mount. Take a look at that, everybody, and see, how good are you at receiving love. So that's today's lesson. And now I'm going to introduce our very special guest. We have Rachel Augusta. She works with animals all over the world who are sick, injured, have a terminal illness, or suffer from age-related issues or trauma due to previous abuse. She is a certified advanced proficiency healing touch for animals practitioner, which is the highest certification in this field. She has her own practice, works in hospitals, vet clinics, and rehab facilities and shelters. Rachel's business was featured in a best-selling Hay House published book, Women Rocking Business. She has been interviewed by the International Animal Protection Organization in Defense of Animals, has been interviewed on numerous podcasts and radio shows, and is a keynote speaker at various festivals, events, colleges, and workshops, spreading her beautiful message about the importance of preventative health care. So thank you, Rachel, so much for coming on the show.
My gosh, thank you for having me. It's so great to be here with you.
So I just love talking about animals because, when we think about love and how to, the whole theme of this show is how to live life with love. One of the best ways, in my opinion, is to have an animal in your home, in your life. So how did you get started in this field?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like animals teach us so much about love. And if humans could learn a few lessons from our furry four-legged companions, we'd be a much happier planet. So I got into working with animals when my own sole companion on this planet, my cat, Holly, was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And because of her age, she was 17 at the time. The veterinarian was just very blasé, kind of no bedside manners, just like, she's old, she's going to die. What do you want me to do? And her response was so painful, honestly, to hear that I knew in that moment that if anybody was going to be able to help Holly, it was going to have to be me. And and truthfully, because of her age and her terminal illness, I wasn't expecting her to like live forever. I just wanted something to work with, and I wanted to see if this really was the end, or, either try and help her die gracefully, or help her fight whatever her body needed help fighting. And within days, actually, a friend of mine had contacted me and said, "Do you know that there's a school actually from Colorado going to be teaching classes at the U of M, teaching you how to work with animals?" And what was interesting is that my friend didn't know that Holly was sick. She was more of an acquaintance. And so within weeks, I was studying at the University of Minnesota, learning how to get the brain and the body of our animals, but it also applies to humans, to work with one another instead of against each other, and really building up the immune system. And because I was racing time, and because I didn't have time to question whether or not I knew what I was doing, I just started doing all the things I was learning with Holly. Holly ended up living an additional 3 years.
Wow. That's
Yes.
amazing.
And yeah, and because I'm an animal rights activist, I know so many people with animals that all of a sudden all these people are like, here's here's these dogs, here's these cats. I had dogs that were rescued, beagles that were rescued from animal testing, being brought to me. I had horses and bunnies, and like all of these animals were just coming to me and being brought to me to help. And I was excited to do it because it was just learning. And I started studying cancer with researchers and different biologists. And I just was trying to absorb as much information as I could because, like I said, Holly didn't die after her 2-week mark. She ended up living. So I was constantly trying to like, make my cancer muscles strong with like learning and absorbing as much information for her, but I was able to apply it to all of these other animals. And then at one point, you know, I was like, I'm going to be homeless if I don't start charging people
Oh no.
because this is my full-time job. It like literally became my full-time job. And I was doing it all the time, that I was no longer working in an office. I was just working with animals. And that was my point when I was like, I probably should be charging people for this.
Mm.
And that's actually how it all ended up happening, was through Holly.
Wow, that's so exciting that she lived
Mhm.
that much longer. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing what the body will do when you get it to start working with itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So, do you feel like animals take on our illnesses like as humans? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so a lot of people think like, oh, animals will mirror our diseases to show us like what's wrong with us. And while I do believe that, what I really more focus on, and what I really do believe is that um they don't just mirror us, they're feeling things with us. So we've known for a long time that animals can smell our emotions. Dogs can smell fear, but the truth is that all of our animals can smell all of our emotions. I mean, animals can smell diabetes on us, and they can smell cancer on us. They have not just emotional. They have support animals and therapy animals that know if you're going to go into a diabetic seizure. Like, animals' noses are great, and so humans have 10 million neuron receptors associated with smell. Cats have 80 million, and dogs have 400 million.
Oof.
And so, yeah, 400 million neuron receptors associated with smell. So, what that means is when they smell something, it goes into their olfactory bulb and it starts to trigger their nervous system. So, if you are depressed or living in a state of anxiety, your animals that are deeply bonded with you are going to be affected by it because they're going to be able to smell that depression on you. And because they love you, it's going to scare them for you. And so scientists from the Department of Biology, they were able to prove in 2017, they were able to prove that um, when you're bonded animals, the animals that like you have a close bond with can smell these negative emotions on you, it creates cortisol in their bodies. So what we know about cortisol is that a lot of cortisol leads to tumors and tumors lead to cancer.
Mm.
So that is where I think, a lot of people say, "Oh, animals will mirror your diseases." Okay, maybe, they
Mhm.
might. I don't have the science to back it up. They might do that. But you know
Right.
what we do have the science to back up? That they are so afraid for you when you have toxic emotions because they can smell it, that it creates cortisol in their bodies. So now if somebody is, let's say, manic depressive or has been depressed for years or is going through something really horrible, like maybe a divorce and they've lost their job and their whole life is uprooted, not only is that toxic on their body to live in that state because their body's creating cortisol, but the animal that they love and live with, their fur baby, it's also toxic for them.
Mm.
And this is really hard to hear, right? Because people are like, no, but my animals come to me when I'm sad and they want to be with me. And they do.
Yeah.
They love us. They want to be with us. They comfort us. We have this symbiotic relationship with them. And, when we feel good, they feel good. But when we don't feel good, it can really harm them. So they asked these scientists in Italy, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do if you've had a bad day?
Mhm.
And the lead scientist said, like, take a shower, literally wash that smell off of your body.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. But to me, that's just a band aid. For some of us, that means we'd be showering all day long,
That's true.
right?
Yeah, for some people,
S-
that's true.
Yeah. So we need to figure out like, and I want to clarify, I'm not telling people not to feel their feelings. Feel your feelings, but don't stay there.
Mm.
Don't be derailed because you didn't get the job you didn't want. Like
Mhm.
feel bad about it and then go find joy and happiness.
Mm. And do that in front of your animal,
Do it with them. Yeah, the thing is you don't have any secrets.
right?
So if you're like, I'm good, I'm happy, but you're having a meltdown, they can smell everything on you. They know you. They
You can't
feel
lie.
you.
Yeah, you can't lie to your animal.
No, there's no secrets. They know it, but it's like it's a wake up call. Like, what I do to heal myself? And I talk about this with my clients and the people on my membership site. We have a tagline: families that feel together, heal together. Feel your feelings and get out and heal yourself. And, sometimes I joke about this with women, but it's true. Like everybody's talking about joy. I mean, honestly, everybody. You can't go anywhere without people being like, humans need more joy. But the thing is that women won't typically do something for themselves. They're like, well, joy is great, but first I have to do the dishes and then I got to go do this. I have these errands to run and then I have to go move this stuff. But if someone else's life depends on it, we're there in a heartbeat. We always go into service for someone else before we will ourselves.
Mhm.
And I guess it's kind of a plea to say to women, like, if you can't find joy and happiness for yourself, or men, of course men as well, but
Yeah.
if you can't, could you, for the furry four-legged or three-legged, I have a lot of three-legged clients, could you find joy and happiness for them?
Mhm.
because they love you so much.
Right. Wow, that's a really great way to look at it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
You know, and
my husband actually had cancer, and this is why I kind of bring it up because his dog, who was a Labrador, ended up getting the exact same cancer and died
mm,
at age 5, and my
mm.
husband lived. So,
Yeah, and that happens too. Like, and those are those weird phenomena where you're like, why did he take it on? And I've heard so many stories like that. So
mhm,
many stories like that. And then it's just like, let me take this for you. Or, the other science, for people who are like, well, I don't believe in that because that sounds woo woo. If you think of about the science behind it though, the your husband's beloved dog could smell
mhm,
the fears your husband was having about his own cancer. It was going into his olfactory bulb and triggering the nervous system, the same nervous system
mhm. Yeah.
where your husband's fears were being triggered.
Mhm. Right.
And I think it's all possible.
Yeah, it makes me think of the concept of quantum entanglement,
Mhm.
where we're all little bundles of energy and
Yes.
we're entangled, we're enmeshed when we're in the same field.
Mhm.
So,
We are. Yeah, we're all entangled with each other. And that's why, that saying heal yourself and you can heal others
mhm,
is so profound, because when you are working on yourself in the symbiotic relationship you are with everyone else, it ends up helping them.
hmm, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to explain too, like why, we explained how cortisol is detrimental to the body, creates tumors and cancer, but why joy can actually heal the body. Joy and relaxation triggers the physiological relaxation response. So when you experience joy, endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, your muscles relax. And when your muscles relax, your blood becomes oxygenated. And with oxygenated blood, your body can absorb nutrients more efficiently from food, from medicine that's prescribed to you, from tinctures, holistic, it doesn't matter. Your stomach starts creating digestive enzymes, and then your hormones regulate. And when your hormones are regulated, your body goes through a detox and new cell growth happens.
Mm,
And that physiological relaxation response is why if you go to the doctor with a broken arm or, broken leg, they're going to ask you what your pain level is. You can't heal if you're in pain. So based on your pain level, they're going to figure out what to prescribe you. So if you say a 2, they're going to give you an Advil because it's not that big of a deal. If you say a 10, they're going to look at Percocet or something similar because they need to give you more painkiller. Here's my kitty. More painkiller. I'm surprised she hadn't showed up sooner. She loves being a part of these. But then they're going to give you a Percocet or something. And so that's why, even joy, it's like you getting the body to work, with Holly. It's like, how did we get her to live an additional 3 years when she was given 2 weeks and we didn't use Western medicine? How did we get her body to start working with itself? We were constantly triggering the physiological relaxation response in her body. And we
mm,
can do this with humans as well. And, and all of our animals.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes good sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love this concept too because you know, sometimes I just don't think people think about it. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
they don't realize the effect that they're having on their animals. And
right.
yeah, I think a lot
Yeah.
of people, if they were more aware, they might be a little more careful about how they behave and feel around their animal.
Yeah. I believe that joy is the antidote to disease. And I believe that it's what humans are really lacking in our lives. And I believe that if we instead of allowing our animals to mirror us, and how, our diseases, if we started mirroring them, maybe we would have less. And I think that's why they're here with us. you know
Mm,
Even though Holly is no longer here, I can tell you what she would say. She'd say, find the sunny spots, play
uh-huh,
with Marley stuff. Today I was walking around the lake and there was this dog. This guy was walking a golden retriever, and the golden retriever is just stopping and just like smelling everything he wanted. And I was like, oh my gosh, that dog is having a good time. And then, we're a few, like, I don't know, a quarter of a mile away up. It's like 3 miles around this lake. The same dogs rolling in the grass, like side to side, and was so happy. I just started laughing so hard. And I looked at the guy and I was like, your dog is living his best life. And he was like, he's living his best life. He's so happy. And I was like, those are our lessons. Like, go and roll in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Explore, smell the things you want to, find the sunny spots, connect, play frisbee, get the zoomies. Like, if we humans were doing more of that, we would be so much happier.
I agree. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. I just think there would be less disease on this planet.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So maybe what we could do is, if we have an animal, we could just say, okay, what is my animal teaching me today?
Yeah.
And then try to actually do something that's in alignment with that. And see
get in the grass and roll with them. It's gonna make your Luna
it's gonna puff up your Luna.
It's gonna puff up your Luna. It's gonna puff up your Luna.
It's totally will, I promise. Your Luna is gonna be so healthy. You're gonna be like, wow.
Totally. But it's like, they just have so much love to give, and our animals love when we engage in that sort of activity with them. Like, I think they want that with us and for us, and like, they want us to engage with them in that way.
Yeah. My little border collie, she's so adorable. She loves to bark at when I'm running my coffee grinder. So, so for her, it's mandatory that she comes and barks at me when I'm grinding my coffee in the morning. And so I'll turn around and I'll just start howling at her, like, woo! She'll try to mimic my howl. It's so adorable.
She's like, this is fun. You don't need to wake up with coffee. You can wake up with howling. Yeah.
Make it a little game, and she just loves it.
They do. Like, they love that engagement. And, the thing is that it's the more we connect with them, like really connect with them, the more that playfulness, is just bubbles inside us, which is going to puff up your Luna. It's just going to bring that into your life.
It sure will. Yeah. And it just makes life so much more interesting too, because it's like you get to, be more playful. I think you're right.
Totally.
We take life too seriously sometimes, and we're just way too, anxious and depressed and serious.
Yeah. And, and there's a time and a place for that. And sometimes there's really horrible stuff going on and you need to feel your feelings around it. But I think that a lot of people get addicted to those negative emotions, or they go into those deep, dark places and they don't know how to get out. And it kills them, and it kills their animals. And it's really sad, and it's really hard to witness. And it happens a lot. And, my hand raised as well. Like, now that Holly's been gone for a while, I can take a step back from that situation. And before she got sick, I can look at what was going on in my life. And a really close friend of mine had committed suicide. And my other really close friend had found him, and she ended up not being able to cope with that. And she became a drug addict. So I essentially lost 2 best friends all within a matter of weeks. She was also my roommate. So I lost my house, and I ended up losing my job that month. I was laid off, and then I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me.
Wow.
And so, and then within a couple of months, Holly was really sick.
Mm,
Now, can I prove that that's all connected? No. Do I have a pretty good feeling that, yeah, my emotional roller coaster probably led to her being really sick in the first place? Yeah, probably, because now that I can take a few steps back, I can go, yeah, she really wasn't sick before that. Her illness kind of came out of nowhere.
mm,
And it often does with animals, right?
sure.
But we don't typically know they're sick until they're so sick they can't hide it anymore because they've evolved to mask their disease and illness. But it's just I can look back and go, yeah, she was pretty healthy before all of that went down. And emotionally I was not in a good place. I was afraid. I was living in fear, fear of money, fear for my friends, and just grief and so much. So, I believe that she really took a lot of that on, which makes me sad. And I wish she wouldn't have, but
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. And now I do know, you know?
Right. Which is why we're talking today, so that
That's why
everyone.
we're talking about this. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is important to know, and I think it's going to build some awareness around it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about how you work with animals, and just do you work with people who are across the country? Can you help animals that aren't in the room with you?
Mhm.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So there's various ways that I work with animals. I have some people who just jump into my membership site. I have a family membership, and once a month we do a group healing with their animals, and it's specifically for women. And the women come into a group call and we do meditation and group healing because our emotions definitely impact our animals. So this is a place for everybody to work on themselves, the animals and the humans, and then they have different resources, and they can communicate with each other and connect, and it gives these women a place to grieve together if they need to and not be judged, because a lot of times women who don't have human children, like we have fur babies, people don't really understand these deeper connections, and they don't really know how to talk us through grief if we've lost someone. So that's what the membership does, allows for those women. And then I have private sessions, and um, private sessions, yeah, I work with people all over the world, and I have clients in Lithuania and Australia and France and Italy, and then all over the United States. And um and so I'm able to do distance or remote sessions with the animals. And then the other part of that is me kind of coaching the human through stuff. So, like, if someone is really sick, is there something going on in the house? Getting you in touch with your emotions, what's going on. But then also, is there something in the house that might in their environment that might be contributing to their illness or caused it? Toxic chemicals, smells, if you're trying to build up someone's immune system to fight off cancer, fight kidney disease or liver issues or whatever, you need to get the stinky stuff out of the house. Like, any man-made fragrances have to go. They're hormone disruptors, and if you remember the physiological relaxation response, um, digestive enzymes, hormones regulate. Well, if you have something that's constantly disrupting hormones, no new cell growth will happen. Well, new cell growth is imperative to everybody. We all need new cell growth, but especially to someone who's like has cancer or is really sick and they're getting chemo. We need them to have new cell growth. But even puppies and kittens and babies, like, they need new cell growth. Without new cell growth, that's how cancer manifests. And so you want to get candles out of the house. You want to get Glade plugins out of the house. A lot of people don't realize that candles, the wick is lead. So you're burning lead in your house. And fragrance is really terrible. And you think about the neuron receptors in their brain. Like, if I can smell a Yankee candle, pumpkin spice candle, what does that smell like to your dog? If they
Mm,
smell 40 times better than you, or if you're using bleach. A lot of people I know use incense, and I'm like, incense damages the DNA. And it makes people so sad to hear that. But incense is actually terrible. It's terrible for you. And I had this woman say to me, but incense has been around for 3,000 years. But not the incense we're burning here right now. The stuff they were using 3,000 years ago was a stick. Like, let's just be real. They were not burning Nag Champa with a ton of man-made fragrance. They just weren't. They were
Right.
probably burning Palo Santo or pure sage. And
Right.
that's something when people go, well, what about sage? Sage is fine. It's a plant.
Right.
Plants are fine. Man-made fragrance is not okay. And
So,
a
so
lot of times
essential oils would be okay. Like if,
essential oils are okay as long as they're pure and there's no fillers in them.
okay. All right.
But yeah, like anything that's man-made, there's a great documentary that I recommend to a lot of people. It's called Stink. And he really goes into the deep details about why man-made fragrance is so detrimental to our body. I mean, even like a $300 bottle of perfume can have petroleum in it.
Mm,
And, and you think, well, I'm trying to heal my animal. I'm going that like sometimes people's dogs or cats are in chemo. Well, if your animals are getting chemo, why are you burning candles and Glade plugins, next to them? Like
yeah.
it's counterintuitive.
Mm,
And so a lot of when I come in, it's helping to coach them to get things out because sometimes that can seem really overwhelming,
mm,
right?
yeah.
You're just like, where do I start? What do I do? How does this, and
Oh
it's
no.
like it's hand holding and it's just making it easier. And, and sometimes it's like grieving your life needs to change,
Right.
like those are life changes. And sometimes people need to grieve through that and just be handheld through it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what I do. And then, working with the animal. Yep.
Good. Okay, great. So how do people reach you?
They can, I'm on all social media, but Rachel Augusta, or they can go to my website and there's links to it all there. RachelAugusta.com is my website.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This has been so
Thank you,
enlightening
Cynthia. Yeah.
and I really appreciate your wisdom. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. And remember, everyone, that you can live life with love. So get out there and do it. And thanks for joining us and have a fantastic day. Thank you for listening to Love in Your Hands. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to find the secret ingredients to your soulmate. Start your free Soulmate Connection membership today using the most innovative and accurate algorithm to match you to potential long-lasting love, all at loveinyourhands.com.